Welcome to episode 12 of Basics and Beyond, the podcast. We are going to talk about your environment today. Yes, your environment and how that impacts your journey toward your health, physique, and wellness goals. You may have some things going on in your environment that are helping you, and you may have some things that are hindering you. So jump on in. We'll give you some tips and tricks to help you improve your environment so that you can reach those goals more easily and more effectively. Come on in and join us. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. I'm really excited to talk to you about your environment today. I know. Why would I talk to you about your environment? Because it's really important. And I feel like it's so important, particularly right now. There's so many things coming together at one time that it's really just glaring in our face that we really have to pay attention to those small things around us that affect us, whether it's positively or negatively. Obviously, you know, I'm a functional health coach. I'm coming to talk to you about your environment in a way that we can either use it to help you or it's going to be used to hinder you in terms of your journey toward your health, fitness, and physique goals. Okay. How does your environment affect those things? It affects those things in so many ways that we may or may not be paying attention to. And even if we're paying attention to those things and we see them and we acknowledge them, a lot of times we're not taking action on those things. And you're not going to get anywhere if you don't take action. And these are some simple ways that you can impact your journey in a positive way every single day. All you have to do is begin to pay attention to your environment, whether it's your work environment, whether it's your home environment, whether it's your phone environment. We have so many different environments that impact us. And this kind of goes way back if you want to think about like the nature versus nurture debate. And how many people say, and I'm sure you've heard this, how many people say, well, you know, that's just in my DNA, or my whole family's that way. Oh, my grandparents were that way. You know, like you can look at lineages of people who have, you know, overweight parents or parents who have certain health issues. Oh, my dad was diabetic. My dad was type 2 diabetic, which, you know, it makes sense now that I'm a type 2 diabetic, whatever it is. Yes, it is true. There are some things that are nature. However, most of those things that are, quote, in the nature category are not things that have to happen to you. They may be things that you're predisposed to, but they're not things that you're predestined to. And those are two very, very different concepts. I had a wonderful mentor in the training field, personal training field, years ago who used to say that all the time. And I know he still says it because I just spoke to him like a year ago. Just because you have a predisposition to something doesn't mean it's predetermined. What determines your life? What determines your health? Are the things that you do, are the things that you pay attention to, are the things that you look at, see, and decide, do I need to change this or don't I? And then take action. So today we're going to ask you to take action on your environment. Yes, I am. First, though, we have to look at your environment to see where we can take action. The awareness piece is always the first step. So I just want to briefly kind of talk to you a little bit about this isn't like something people make up, right? They've done research studies on the effects of people's environment toward either being an obstacle to their goals or helping them reach their goals. And really, I said there's simple ways we can change this. It is simple, but it's not easy. So it's really interesting because we can sabotage ourselves. So let me talk about the research first. So researchers did, I know there's one in particular that just fascinates me. And I actually wrote about this in my newsletter. There was an experiment done where researchers took groups of people, they made different groups of people, right? And they were looking at the convenience of the food around those people and how much they were likely to eat. So they used candy. Isn't that great? Really, right? I mean, it's perfect. How many people can resist certain types of candy or when junk food is sitting around? Not many of us if it's right in our face. So here's what they did. They took various groups of people, and in the study, each participant was given a sealed dish of candy that they could look through. So it was like, think clear glass container, right? That had a top on it, whatever. And it was placed at 3 different spots in their office. For 1 week, it was placed right on the left corner of their desk. Another week, it was placed in a drawer in their desk. And the third week, it was placed in a cabinet or file cabinet across the room, shut, couldn't see it. It was about 6 feet away. Okay. So the first group of people went through, and that's exactly how it was laid out. The first week it was on the desk. Second week it was in the drawer. Third week it was in across the room. They had to get up to get it. Okay. They took another group of people and they changed it up. The weeks just looked a little different. Like the first week, it was across the room in the file cabinet. The second week, they had it on top of the desk, and maybe the third week they had it in the drawer in the desk. So they wanted to just make sure things were that they weren't skewing the data in any way, shape, or form. And here's what they found. This is interesting. The participants, when the glass container was on the desk in their line of sight, very easy to reach and grab one of those candies, those participants in that week generally had about 9 candies per day. And that's, they figured it was somewhere around 225 calories about because of the candy and all that kind of stuff. What type of candy? If it was in the desk drawer, so still within arm's reach, but in a drawer, so it wasn't they couldn't visually see it easily. The people averaged about 6 candies per day. Okay, so they cut it down by about a third by just putting it in a drawer, even though it was still within arm's reach. That last week or whatever week they had, the candies in the cabinet, 6 feet walk in the cabinet, not visually, not like arm's reach. Nope. They had to get up. They had to go get it, and they couldn't see it. They averaged about 4 candies per day. So by taking that candy and putting it farther away where they couldn't see it, the study researchers, helped these people cut down their candy intake by half each day by creating friction points. So think about that, right? So what we know then, based on studies, and honestly, come on, it just makes complete sense, doesn't it? If we have certain foods in front of us that we can see more easily, that we can reach more easily, we are more apt to grab those and eat those, whether we are hungry or not. We are more apt to mindlessly walk by and grab a piece of whatever it is and pop it in our mouths. What does that tell you? Every day, the things that you have in your environment are influencing your choices. So wouldn't it make sense to set up your environment in a way that's going to help you, that's going to influence you to make the choices that you need to make each day to hit your targets so that eventually you're going to hit your goals? Don't you want, I mean, come on, that seems pretty simple, doesn't it? Like, set yourself up for success by doing that. And then you don't have to rely so much on willpower and self-control, because what we know is those two things aren't very reliable. Willpower and self-control go out the window at certain points, right? Say, for example, they have done studies on this also, interestingly enough. Self-control is like a muscle. Okay. So it gets stronger the more that you work on it. And we know this, right? The more that you elicit using self-control about things, it gets a lot easier, right? because you're paying more attention, you're more aware, you continue to ask yourself questions. It's this whole process that you use to get to your self-control. It's great. However, just like a muscle, it gets tired. Just like a muscle, it gets tired. And we all know this. I guarantee you, you have done this. And so if you put a little awareness into it for like the next week, you will see this in yourself. If you have to have a lot of self-control throughout the day, by the time you get to the evening, there's not a lot of self-control left. We as humans have a certain amount of control, self-control at our discretion every single day. If we have to use 90% of our self-control at work, because I don't know, maybe at work it's potluck day and everybody decided that donuts, cookies, crackers, whatever was really important for potluck day. I mean, me, I'm a chip gal. I love chips. I will walk by and grab some chips all the time, like all day long. I'll grab those chips. Oh, M&Ms. Oh God, even M&Ms. I mean, come on, really? Are you with me on this? Even if I'm not hungry, if it's there. So to be able to walk by that table all day long, even 4 times a day or 5 times a day, if I don't grab any, that is a lot of energy I'm putting into my self-control. By the time I get home, if I've had a long day, if I've had to talk to a lot of people, if a lot of stressful things have gone on, or I've just been physically more active, or all of the above, by the time I get home, my self-control is not in the same spot it was when I woke up in the morning going, hey, I'm going to jump out of bed. I'm going to hit all my targets today. I'm going to, not eat off plan. I'm going to hit all my macros, going to get all my steps in, drink all my water, whatever your targets are for the day. You get up in the morning with the best of intentions. Your self-control is really high. You haven't had to use it yet. And by the end of the day, there's not much left. So why wouldn't we look at the simple ways to help ourselves to not have to use that self-control? And one way to do that is your environment. So let's talk about how we can make it easier. Okay. Because like we said, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So let's talk about how we can do that. So one place that you really have more control is at home. I'm not saying you have complete control. That would be really nice. I really want to say that you do have complete control at home. And some people do. Some people do. Some people have complete control at home, and you can set up that environment the way that you need to set it up. Let's talk about what that would look like. If you had complete control at home, to set up an environment that would be helpful for you would be to make it work for yourself. And every person is different. Okay. So easiest thing, like let's talk easiest first. Easiest thing that you can do if you're trying to make healthier choices around your nutrition, make healthier choices around food, which is what most of us are trying to do. We're trying to make healthier choices around our food, less processed food or no processed food. We want to stay away from the pop and the candy and the chips and the crackers and I don't know, Pop-Tarts. I don't know, all the processed foods. We're trying to stay away from those. We're trying to eat more healthy, whole, natural foods. Here's how you can do that. The easiest way to do that is not have it in your house. Don't buy it. Don't buy it at all. Don't have it in the cupboard. Don't have it on the counter. Don't have it anywhere in your house. And then it makes it more difficult for you to eat it. Why? Because we took and put a ton of friction points in your way. There's a ton of friction. You have to spend a lot of energy, which is what I'm talking about when I say friction. We're going to put friction. So we're not going to make it easy for you to get to the cookies and the candy. How is it easy? If we have it out on the counter, real easy to grab cookies, candy, whatever, right? Super easy. You know how we used to go to grandma's house? She always had those candies like, and they're right there in the living room. That's easy. Let's create some friction. Okay. Friction. Don't even bring it in the house, right? In order for you, if you don't have it in the house, you have to put your shoes on, grab your keys, grab your purse, your wallet, whatever. Maybe put a jacket on, maybe not. You have to get in the car. You have to drive to the store, walk in the store. Oh my God, how many people don't even like to walk in the store nowadays, right? Everybody drives and has pickup, right? Walk in the store, find it, grab it, purchase it, bag it, go back out to your car, Drive home, take your shoes off, take your jacket off, put your purse and your wallet away, sit down and eat. By the time you do all of that, is it worth it? Is it? Some days it might be. And when it is, when it's worth it to drive and get yourself something, then when you get yourself something, you get yourself something, meaning you get a single serving of it and you bring it home. So you get a little pint of the ice cream instead of the gallon jug of ice cream, right? I think it's a gallon. I think that's what that is. So when you choose to do that, you have now spent time in that decision process because you've had to drive to the store. So now you've given yourself time to maybe say, maybe I don't really want that. Maybe I want something else, or maybe I don't want anything at all. I'm just going to turn around and go home. But if you do, get yourself a single serving of it. Bring it home, eat it, done. And then you don't have it in the house. You don't have any extras, period. If that's too difficult, I understand that's a big step. It's a big step not having it in the house. And maybe you have people in the home, right, that want some of that stuff. So the next step would be to say, okay, maybe it's going to be in the house, but maybe you're going to put it in a cupboard where you can't see it. And maybe that cupboard, if you're like me, is really high and you'd have to go get the step stool because I'm not very tall. I'm only like 5'6". And some of my cupboards, I have to get a step stool to get up there. And guess what? That's going to make even more friction. So maybe it's not the friction of going to the grocery store, but maybe it's the friction of, I don't see it, so it's put away. That's a good friction point. And if I really want it, I'm going to have to go grab a stool from somewhere or a step stool from somewhere, bring it into the kitchen, set it up, get up there, grab it, bring it down. Am I really going to want to do that? Maybe. Maybe not. But we're creating these little ways to make it more difficult to get to that food. Here's something you can partner that with. So think about it. Either you don't have it in the house or you have to go get it, or it's somewhere where you can't see it. Okay. So we hide the processed food. We hide the chips. We hide the crackers. We hide the cookies. We do all that. We put it away. Either it's not there or it's put away. And at the same time, we partner that with having better options out in front of us. So what if the cookies, crackers, chips, and ice cream are way put away where we can't see them? However, on the counter, we have some fruits, maybe some vegetables. Now when that sweet tooth comes along, maybe we just grab an apple. Oh, maybe we just grab some grapes. Oh, maybe we put grapes in the freezer. So instead of reaching behind to grab the ice cream, the first thing we see is the frozen grapes. And those are pretty dang tasty, I tell you. Right? So we have two pieces to the puzzle, right? We can make it more difficult to get the processed junk food. And at the same time, we make it easier by putting our fruits and our vegetables right in front of our face. Perfect. And those are ways that you can help people also in your family, because that's the other friction point that we usually run up against, and not a good friction point. Sometimes we're not sabotaging ourselves. Sometimes our family is sabotaging us only because they aren't on the same track that we're on, right? So first of all, when you're dealing with family members or people that are living in your home that eat the food that's in the kitchen like you, or you're responsible for the food in the house and that kind of a thing, and they want it in the home, the first thing you should probably do is have a conversation. Talk to them about why you're doing what you're doing. And it's really good for you to know that too. So the more you talk about it, the more cemented that gets for you, the easier it is for you to access your why, so you stay on track. Anyway, so talk to them about why. Talk to them about why you're doing this. Don't keep it to yourself, and don't expect them to know if you don't tell them. And then tell them why it's so difficult for you to have that food in the house or have that food on the counter, right? Tell them why it's hard for you, because maybe it's not hard for them. Oh my God. My husband, we could have a gallon of ice cream in the refrigerator. We could have chips sitting out on the counter. We could have cookies in the cupboard, and he would have one and he would be fine. Not an issue. I'm going to eat 10 cookies sitting on the counter, an entire bag of chips, and God help us, that ice cream is going to take a beating. Okay. I'm just not that girl, right? But he is. He's that guy. He can handle it. But we've had that conversation. We know where I'm at. We know where he's at. And it's not good or bad. It's just how it is. And I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change. Like, those things about me aren't changing. So I'm just going to work with them. And those things about him aren't changing. And he's going to work with them. And we're going to work together. And this is how it works. Right? So have the conversation. Tell them why, because maybe they don't know why you're doing this. And tell them why it's difficult for you, because maybe they don't understand, because they don't have the kind of challenges that you do. And find a way to compromise. Find a way to compromise. And maybe that is putting things up higher, putting them out of your sight so that they have access to them and you don't. Right? And here's the deal. Ultimately, you may be the first one in your family, in your household, that's going to make these changes. Notice I said first. What will happen over time is it will get easier for you because you'll remember your why. And they in your home will be watching what you're doing. And they'll get curious. And they'll start making changes. And they'll be healthier. And here's what that does for you. I guarantee you, you want those people in your home around you for a very long time. And you want them to be as healthy as possible, particularly those kiddos that you have at home. This is the best time to teach them how to eat healthy, because if you don't, no one's going to, and they're going to end up being adults who are not eating healthy and in the same spot you're in, the same spot I was in, and having to change those behaviors and break those habits. And it's not easy. And you know that. So helping them in this stage as they are young to make healthy choices, not because of the number on the scale. And oh my God, please do not look at your children and go and say these things around your children. I'm so fat, I can't have that. Or, oh, I'm just going to gain weight if I have that and I can't gain weight. Don't put those negative connotations around food and around yourself and around body image, because it's really not about that. Ultimately, your body is a reflection of where your health is. And you want those kids in your house. You want your significant other. You want the people that you love to make healthy choices so that they live longer and live better and be healthier. So when you're having those conversations in your mind with yourself, as well as those people that you love, you need to frame it around the fact that you want to be healthier so that you can go play with your grandkids or your children, so that you can go coach the little league team, so that you can get up and down off the floor, so that you don't have to take medication. So ultimately, we need to change. We need to frame our environment in a way that helps us to make better choices by paying attention to where we're putting things and if we're having those things in the house. But we also need to frame our thoughts and our internal environment about why we're making those decisions and why we're making the choices we're making, because we want to be healthier and because we want to live a long life and because we don't want to be on medications or stuck in a bed or stuck in a home. We want to live an amazing, wonderful life for as long as we can. So take a few moments this next week, pay attention to your environment, see the ways that you may be creating obstacles for yourself. Go into your home, go into your office, find ways to make those friction points for yourself so that it's not so easy to grab the candy, grab the junk food. Make it more challenging for yourself, and you'll make better choices, and it'll be simple and it'll be easy to be healthier and reach your goals. Hey, if you like this podcast, if you love this episode, share it with the people that you love, share it on socials, share it face to face. Please, please, please like, subscribe, share this podcast with anyone you know. I want to, reach as many people as I possibly can. I love talking to you about this stuff. I love sharing this information with others. I love helping people. So hit me in the comments with questions that you have. Or hey, podcast topics. I'm up for, always up for new podcast topics, because I want to make this podcast a podcast for you so that you have the information that you need to be healthier, happier, strong in your life.